Hey guys, what's up? Max here. If there's something you all always ask in the comments of the videos, it's about Dragon Ball Hakai. Questions about the plot, the lore, and especially about the new chapters. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you all the last chapter of Dragon Ball Hakai, the 9th chapter of the story, which is absolutely amazing and full of content for you. But that's not all this video will have, as the story of Dragon Ball Hakai is a little complex and creates many doubts in you. In this video, I will also answer some questions you always ask in the comments, clarifying some doubts about the story. And also, as a lot has happened so far, and it's been a while since the last chapter was published, I'm also going to give a brief summary of the main events of the story, and especially the previous chapter. That way, I believe you'll understand better everything that is happening. In short, in this video, you'll get a summary of everything that has happened in the story so far. You will know everything that has happened in the most recent chapter, and you will also have some of your questions about the story answered. This video is full of content for you, fans of Dragon Ball Hakai and the Dragon Ball franchise in general, and bringing this content to you is a lot of work, so please reward all this work with your like and also subscribe to the channel. Here we produce content for you with great dedication. And finally, you can access all Dragon Ball Hakai chapters on our website, dbhakai.com. And in addition to Dragon Ball Hakai, there is a lot of content about the Dragon Ball franchise in general, such as trivia articles, databooks, and much more. Then pay us a visit there too. Anyway, I think I've said enough that needed to be said. Let's go to Dragon Ball Hakai. Stay connected in the channel and let's go to the video. Previously on Dragon Ball Hakai. Because of Champa's bad work as Universe 6's God of Destruction, a new destroyer had to be chosen to take his place. The mortal chosen for this position was Goku, after an arbitrary decision of the Zenos, who ignored all the opinions of the gods and angels. With no choice, Goku had to take the job and became the newest God of Destruction, running Universe 6, and now he is training to control his new powers as God of Destruction with the help of Vados, and is also getting to know him better, his new universe. Meanwhile, a group of gods called 5 Great Celestial Mages, who belong to another realm that is not part of the 12 universes, have been released from a long prison. The goal of these gods is to bring back to life an extremely powerful being called Zarat, who is a supreme deity that not even the Grand Zeno can defeat. In the past, this supreme god called Zarat was sealed and had his power divided into 5 creatures that were called the 5 Great Primordial Beasts. These 5 extremely powerful creatures were sealed in cocoons and split across the universes of Zeno's realm. To free Zarat, the Celestial Mages intend to gather the 5 Great Primordial Beasts, and thus they will bring their Great Lord back to life. The Mages, after a brief period of seclusion after their mysterious release, put their plans into action. In order to gain access to all of Zeno's multiverse knowledge, they kidnapped Zuno, the being who knows all things, and to take away the possibility of Zeno's realm to use the greatest source of magic power that exists in the multiverse. The Mages destroyed the Super Dragon Balls and consequently all the other Dragon Balls scattered throughout the universes, which were created with fragments of the larger orbs, doesn't work anymore. Paikon, leader of a group responsible for keeping the peace between the realms, called Celestial Guardians, went to the meeting between the gods of destruction that was taking place and warned about this dangerous situation. After he did so, he instructed all the gods of destruction to return to their universes to prepare for this threat, and for the gods who have a primordial beast in their territory were given the mission to find the cocoons of the beasts and protect it, as the Celestial Mages would soon go after the cocoon. Goku is one of the gods who has a primordial beast in his universe, so he returned to Universe 6's planet of destruction to ask Vados to take him to the cocoon. But Vados was still at the angels' meeting, meaning he can't find the place. But then Goku got the idea to ask the Supreme Kais for help and went to the Supreme Planet. In Universe 7, Beerus returned along with Paikon despite him not liking the idea. On the Destroyer's planet, he and Paikon explained the whole mess to Vegeta, and after arguing with Paikon, Beerus decided to give Vegeta the mission to go after Janemba's cocoon, along with the Guardian. This cocoon was in the possession of Frieza and Cooler. Vegeta and Paikon find Frieza and Cooler. Frieza, knowing about Paikon's power, decided to abandon his own brother and let him face the enemies while he fled with Janemba's cocoon. But Paikon decided to go after Frieza, while Vegeta, recognizing Cooler's name, said he wanted to face him and instructed Paikon to not interfere in the fight no matter what. While all this confusion was going on for Janemba's cocoon, Another celestial guardian, under order from Pikkon, took the cocoon containing Majin Buu's dormant power. As expected, the celestial mages, cruelly blackmailing Zuno to get answers from him, discovered the location of the primordial beasts and went after the cocoons. In Universe 8, Likir took the cocoon of the beast that is in his universe called Hatch, but Tyra, the great mage warrior, was waiting on the planet of destruction for the destroyer to arrive. Now a fight between them is about to begin. In Universe 7, one of the celestial mages went after Oob, who contained part of Majin Buu's power that was released, but his actions were interrupted by Beerus, who actually premeditated this and went to Earth instead of sleeping. As he said to Vegeta and Pikkon, will Beerus be able to stop the mysterious celestial mage from capturing Oob? Will Likir be able to stop Tyra from capturing Hatch's cocoon? Will Pikkon be able to reach Frieza and retrieve Janemba's cocoon? Will Vegeta be able to defeat Cooler? Will Goku be able to find Universe 6's primordial beast cocoon? Find out now! Dragon Ball Hakai Chapter 9 Attack of the Celestial Mages Part 2. In the quintet of planets called Planet Quinn, Vegeta and Cooler face each other. Cooler is warming up for the fight while Vegeta watches him with his hand resting on his waist. The Prince of the Saiyans, who apparently had heard legends about Cooler, says, "So, you're the legendary Cooler. I wasn't born at the time of your fall, but my father told me a lot about you. The one who was so powerful that even Frieza and Cold feared you. It is said that not even the two of them together could defeat you, so they created a trap to take you down." Cooler is happy to hear that Vegeta knows who he is, and as he continues to warm up his body, he says, "I'm glad that even ignorant people like you Saiyans kept the respect I deserve. Be grateful that Cold and Frieza betrayed me, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't have escaped complete extinction, because I would have wiped you all out." While hearing these words from Cooler, Vegeta stared at him seriously. Frieza's brother continued with his speech, "But now that I'm free again, I'm going to complete the job those idiots were incapable of." Hearing this, Vegeta gets angry, and while clenching his fist tightly, he says, "Do you think you can? Don't think things are like the old days. Who will be eliminated is you, and by me." Vegeta releases his energy in the form of the Super Saiyan's flaming aura, and while doing this, he points his fingers at himself and completes the sentence by introducing himself. "The Prince of the Saiyans, the Great Vegeta." Seeing Vegeta's transformation, Cooler seems to recognize that form, and then he says, "That blonde hair transformation. Frieza mentioned that. That's the Super Saiyan, right? Your first transformation after the one you turned into monkeys." Vegeta confirms Cooler's doubts by saying, "Exactly. That's how Kakarot defeated Frieza the first time." And while increasing his energy even more, Vegeta concludes, "This is the first stage of Super Saiyan power." Cooler is apparently offended by that transformation and complains, saying, "Is this the first stage you intend to face me with? Who do you think I am?" The prince answers that question with a provocative tone and says, "If you want to see more of my powers, you need to show that you're worthy, don't you think?" Those words make Cooler furious, and he prepares a blow. He yells, "You damn monkey, put yourself in your shoes." Cooler lands a punch on Vegeta, and even though Vegeta blocks the attack with his arms, the pressure of the blow goes through the Saiyan's body and makes him spill some blood from his mouth. And while surprised by that blow, Vegeta thinks, "What a power! If I hadn't increased my strength and resistance by turning into Super Saiyan 2 at the exact moment of the blow, I would have been killed by that power." But Cooler doesn't intend to give Vegeta time to think, and he goes on to the Saiyan's back, preparing a second attack. He scolds his opponent, saying, "Don't get distracted." Vegeta, while crouching to dodge Cooler's blow, transforms into a Super Saiyan God. Apparently, he needs to transform to have enough speed not to be hit by the blow. As he dodges the attack, he thinks, "My body still doesn't have enough speed to keep up with him in this form." While crouching, Vegeta notices a strand of hair falling from his head, which means that even transforming into a Super Saiyan God to dodge, he barely escaped Cooler's blow. While still crouching, Vegeta counters Cooler with a kick, knocking the enemy away. As he lands on the ground again, Cooler, no doubt speaking ironically, says, Well, it looks like I'm worthy of seeing your transformations." Annoyed, Vegeta says, "Don't brag. This is far from my most powerful form." After saying that, while facing the opponent, Vegeta thinks, "Cooler's punches are not like Frieza's punches. They're much more accurate and deadly. I already imagined that if he was training with Frieza, his powers weren't like they were in the past. But is he already at that level? I thought that if I provoked him, he would be able to find a gap and kill him quickly. But even angry, he is able to calculate very well what he does. He is really different from Frieza. He's much more lethal in his movements and tactics. I need to be more careful or else he can kill me on the first slip." As Vegeta thinks about Cooler's dangerousness, Frieza's older brother yells, "Prepare to die, Saiyan," with a serious expression, no doubt taking his opponent a lot more seriously now. Vegeta does his fighting stance. This fight would certainly not be any fight. Meanwhile, on Universe 8's planet of destruction, Liquor faces Tyra. The destroyer is already in his fight stance, but the mage looks a little more relaxed, smiling as she looks at him. Seemingly speaking with irony, she says that the Hakaishans are too dramatic. Liquor could just hand over Hatch and let her go. There's no need to die because of it. But Liquor, in a much less patient mood, tells her to shut up. She must not underestimate a god of destruction. But Tyra laughs at the Universe 8 destroyer's fury and then takes a much more relaxed fighting stance. Liquor runs towards the mage and, reaching her, tries an attack, but Tyra disappears at high speed in front of him. Only then does Liquor realize that she is already flying towards Hatch's cocoon, and the speed of the goddess from the other realm surprises him. Liquor grows 3 more tails from his body, and now with 6 tails, the destroyer screams that he won't let her do that. When she is very close to touching the cocoon, Tyra realizes that Liquor is already behind her, and so the fox god passes right by her, but does so by capturing the woman's ankle with one of his tails, and so he begins to carry her away from the cocoon while suggesting they fight in a more suitable location. In an instant, they are already leaving the planet, going into space. As this happens, Tyra, with an oddly calm expression, notes the fact that Liquor has become faster by releasing more tails. So we can conclude that his power increases according to the number of tails released. When he decides he's gone far enough, Liquor launches Tyra away using his tail, and then to drive her even further away using his hands to release a telekinetic force that launches her even further, causing the warrior goddess to crash into a celestial body, which seems to cause her some pain. After doing this, Liquor finishes releasing his tails, and now with the 9 tails released, he concentrates a large amount of power and launches a powerful globe of energy at the opponent, completely destroying that celestial body. Liquor wonders if he made it, but the answer comes soon after when Tyra comes out of the rubble and tries to launch a punch on him. Such a punch that Liquor defends using his hand, but the destroyer didn't come out unscathed from the blow. His hand spills blood. Looking at the bloodied hand, Liquor admits that thinking this fight would be won so quickly was too good to be true. Tyra, with a savage smile on her face, says that if the destroyer wants to fight, they can fight a little. On Universe 6's supreme planet, Goku explains to Kiboru and Lei the reason for his sudden visit. He needs help finding someone called Primordial Beast, and he needs to do it fast. But he doesn't know much about this universe, and Vados is not with him. He asks if they can help him. Lei apologizes to Goku. She doesn't know anything about it. She's a rookie goddess too, and just like him, she's still learning. Kiboru, who is the veteran god in that place, says that he doesn't know much about it either. This matter involving the Primordial Beast is very old, and it has been many generations of Super Kai since those events. Goku is disappointed to hear this, so he also doesn't know where this thing is. Kiboru replies no, but he gives one hope. He can look it up in the Book of the Universe. This book contains the entire history of their universe, and it will surely have some information about the primordial beast called Hero. This cheers Goku, who thanks the Supreme Kai's assistant. Kiboru holds out his hand as he releases magical energy, and then a huge book appears in front of him. A book so large that it sinks to the ground as it falls. Seeing this book, Goku is a little worried. Kiboru won't need to read all that, right? But the answer is disheartening. That's just the first book out of 100. This information knocks Goku down, literally. In Universe 8's southern galaxy, Liquor and Tyra fly through space, clashing many times, until they finally fly towards each other for a head-on collision. And they do this by clashing their fists, creating such a powerful impact wave that destroys a celestial body close to them. After the clash between them, Tyra tries to punch Liquor, but he dodges the attack, and using one of his tails, lands a blow on the woman, who is knocked away by the blow. And after doing so, Liquor concentrates energy on his tails and launches a string of attacks against her. Tyra ends up only in the northern galaxy, crashing violently into another celestial body which is destroyed in the process. After receiving so many attacks, Tyra is a little frustrated. It sucks to fight with that body limiting her, but what does she mean by that? Liquor, with a teasing smile, reveals that after all the legends he's ever heard, he expected more from a celestial mage. Annoyed, Tyra responds to this taunt by creating an energy blade and saying that if that's the case, she can show him more. She reminds the destroyer that she is called the Great Mage Warrior, probably meaning that using weapons is her speciality. But Likir isn't too impressed with that. For him, that's not a big deal. After all, he can also create a Keyblade. Kiboru uses his psychic powers to flip quickly through the book of the universe while using his Supreme Kai's enhanced senses to read the book at great speed. And considering the other books next to him, this is already the third volume. Meanwhile, Goku is finishing explaining the whole situation to them, ending the news by saying that the Celestial Mage wants to catch the primordial beasts, and as a destroyer he has to stop this and fight them. Lei is excited about this situation. She didn't expect that in such a short time as a goddess, she would already have some action, especially something of this level. But Kiboru warns Lei that she shouldn't even think about it. The Celestial Mages are no opponents for beings like them. And Kiboru goes even further in his statement, saying that in fact not even a god of destruction can defeat them. This statement worries Goku a little. Is what he's saying true? Not even a god of destruction can defeat them? Kiboru confirms, yes, it's true. And then as we see Likir and Taira continuing their confrontation, Kiboru explains some of the backstory to Goku. Kiboru says, after the supreme deity Zarat attacked Zeno's realm and was unsuccessful, he was sealed away here. The main gods of the realm of Zarat, the Celestial Mages, organized powerful military hordes and attacked the Zeno realm. At that time, gods and mortals fought side by side to defend this entire multiverse. But the enemy commanders were the 5 great Celestial Mages, and they were extremely powerful beings. At that moment in the fight, Likir seems to have more difficulties in his combat, and Taira advances against him while the destroyer, cornered, waits for the attack. Taira attacks the Hakai, who can only dodge. Meanwhile, Kiboru continues. The strength, speed, and endurance of these beings were unreal, even for the god of destruction. Taira sees a gap in Likir, and then she launches a strong attack. And the Celestial Mage's attack destroys the god of destruction's energy blade, and also wounds him. And as it happens, Kiboru says, but that's not all that made them so powerful. Likir stares at his own wound burning his chest, but the destroyer immediately responds to the attack by grabbing Taira's arm. But he immobilized not only the arm that held the blade, but also her other arm and legs, leaving her immobilized, or at least that's what he thought. Taira creates a shuriken in her hand. As she does, Kiboru says, in addition to being extremely powerful in the literal sense of the word, the Celestial Mages have powerful spells that make them even more formidable opponents. Kiboru's words prove to be true the very moment they are spoken, as Taira manipulating the shuriken cuts off Likir's tail, causing the destroyer of Universe 8 great pain. And then Kiboru, while leafing through the 5th book, continues his explanation to Goku and Lei, who are listening intently like students in a class. Kiboru says, at that time, there were 18 universes in Zeno's realm, so there were 18 gods of destruction. But despite the numerical disadvantage, the Celestial Mages managed to fight in balance with the Hakaishans. This means that at that time, a Celestial Mage averaged the power level of 4 gods of destruction, and it is said that the destroyers of the first generation were on average more powerful than the destroyers of this generation. In short, a destroyer currently cannot single-handedly defeat a Celestial Mage. Lei is surprised hearing this. She heard that a god of destruction is very powerful, and she also concludes that probably Goku can't defeat a Celestial Mage either. And she says that she notices that Goku is apparently saddened. She regrets what she said and tries to comfort her companion, telling him not to be like this. But suddenly Goku smiles, and as he clashes his fists with joy, exclaims that he's going to get even stronger fighting these guys. This attitude of him leaves Lei very surprised. Sharing Goku's excitement, she praises the fact that he doesn't get discouraged with little things. Goku agrees with her. Of course, he can't get discouraged easily. Besides, the person he wants to overcome right now is very tough, so if he gets discouraged with any obstacle, he would have given up a long time ago. Lei is curious and asks him who this person is. He must be an amazing guy. Something is thrown with great force against the planet of destruction of Universe 8, advancing at high speed towards the planet and crashing violently against the ground. It is Likir who, after the impact, touches his aching body while complaining about his enemy's great power, and that the difference in power between them has suddenly become too great. After complaining about it, the destroyer stands up, ready for more. Far away, Taira launches an energy attack that she calls the Celestial Bow. On the planet, Likir, while preparing to do something in his thoughts, states that he didn't want to put the universe at risk, but with the gravity of this situation, he needs to unleash his maximum power as a god of destruction. But then, something shines in the sky. It's something that's heading towards the destroyer. Seeing an extremely powerful attack coming towards him, Likir opens his mouth in an expression of fear, and Tyra's attack passes through the planet of destruction, cutting that tough planet in half like butter. What happened to Likir? Was he hit by that attack? On planet Earth in Universe 7, in a large, dry, empty field, Beerus continues his confrontation with the strange man who tried to capture Oob. Meanwhile, the boy carries his knocked-out master, King Chappa, behind a large boulder. Arriving at this makeshift hideout, Oob wonders who these guys are. He senses a very bad thing coming from them. The mystery man, while facing Beerus, admits he didn't expect to show up at that moment. Beerus replies that he figured that if they wanted the power of the 5 great primordial beasts, and that includes Majin Buu's power, they would come after the small parts of his power that have already been released. Surely Beerus is referring to Fat Buu and Oob. After listening to Beerus' reasoning, the maid says that he is smarter than everyone says. The destroyer of Universe 7 replies that the invader would be even smarter if he cooperated by telling him everything he wants to know. If he doesn't, they'll have to try the hard way. The man apologizes and says that this was not the time to face a god of Beerus' level. Beerus doesn't like that answer. After all, it's not like the invader has any choice. The man points his hand at Beerus and then shoots a large wave of energy that completely hits and even passes through the god of Universe 7's body. And that same energy goes towards the stone that Oob is hiding in. And while seeing this, the boy screams in terror. The attack hits the stone and completely destroys it, knocking Oob and King Chappa away. But despite all that, Beerus received the attack and remained unharmed, holding his opponent's hand while smiling. And then the destroyer takes the invader's hand away from his face, and the force of that move from Beerus creates a current of air that removes the hood that hid the enemy's head and face. And as he finally reveals his face, the invader praises the destroyer. Louder says, "Agile as always, Beerus." Seeing the face that was before him, Beerus is shocked, recognizing him as Master Tehran, and remembers moments of his childhood with this person, apparently very happy moments. Noticing Beerus' distraction, the enemy smiles, and then points one of his hands towards the sky, creating a magical rune above them. Beerus sees this power and realizes it was dangerous to remain close to the enemy. He leaps away. At the same moment, the magic rune falls towards the mage, and while this happens, the enemy, that is apparently Tehran, says goodbye to Beerus, who receives this farewell with an annoyed expression. The magic rune falls on the invader, and at the same moment he disappears, after helplessly watching the enemy flee. Beerus can only lament, saying, "Damn it, I got distracted and he got away." Guys, I'm going to take a quick break from the chapter exposition to explain this moment. Dragon Ball Hakai is not a story told in a single manga. This manga you are seeing now contains the main story of the series, which takes place at the present moment in the Dragon Ball Hakai chronology. But in addition to the main story, this series also has a side story called Dragon Ball Hakai Special, the story of Beerus, and as the name suggests, this side manga tells the story of the past of Universe 7's God of Destruction, according to the Dragon Ball Hakai story, of course. Dragon Ball Hakai Special, the story of Beerus, does not tell the main story of Dragon Ball Hakai, but it is an important reading to understand the mythology of the series as a whole. And in this parallel manga, it may contain important information that relates to the main plot, and this chapter 9 proves that with the appearance of the old master of Beerus, who was mentioned earlier in the main story, but who is worked on in much more detail in the side story. To better understand who this man called Tehran is, read Dragon Ball Hakai Special, the story of Beerus. That way you will know who Tehran is, his importance to Beerus, and you can also have more important things for the main story of Dragon Ball Hakai present in this special story. And of course, just like the main story, this side manga is also made with a lot of dedication. And if you like the main story of Dragon Ball Hakai, you will probably like this side story too. To read Dragon Ball Hakai Special, the story of Beerus, visit our website dbhakai.com. There you will find all the chapters published so far. Well, I think I've clarified this point. Now let's continue with chapter 9. A ship cut through space at great speed. It was Frieza's spaceship. Inside the ship, Kikono and Berry Blue are in the control room with Frieza. The two servants control the ship while the Emperor watches them. The door to the room opens and those who enter are the members of Cooler's Special Forces, Captain Salza, Neis, and Dore. Cooler's soldiers have a disapproving expression, and Captain Salza questions Frieza, saying they're not finding Cooler. Frieza abandoned him on the battlefield? Frieza responds by saying that Cooler can take care of himself, and after the reply, a threat, saying they better not piss him off, or he'll kill them. This scares the three soldiers who, despite clearly disapproving Frieza's actions very much, are afraid to question him for the love of life. Berry Blue cuts through the tense atmosphere with good news. Berry Blue says, Good news, sir. Our super radar has been turned on, and it is not detecting any powerful presence in at least a third of the galaxy. Frieza hears this news with a satisfied smile. It won't be today that his plans will be ruined, but their joy is short-lived when the radar starts to alert them of something. Berry Blue warns that a powerful presence has suddenly appeared, and it's approaching them at unbelievable speed. Frieza, with an expression of despair, shouts an order to his subordinate. Kikono, activate maximum speed. Kikono receives that order with concern, giving the following warning to his lord. But Great Frieza, if we reach the maximum speed, it's possible that the ship won't support for a long time. But Frieza apparently has bigger concerns, desperately screaming for his servant to obey. Kikono doesn't waste another second in obeying his lord, pressing hard on the button on the ship's control, the maximum speed button. The ship's speed increases dramatically, and the power generated by this sudden increase in speed knocks out even the 3 elite soldiers present at the scene, in addition to Linzur. But apparently even that wasn't enough. And according to Berry Blue, the pursuer continues to approach quickly. Kikono can't believe what's happening. This shouldn't be possible. Nothing in the universe should be faster than this ship. Seeing that the ship's high speed alone would be enough for his escape, Frieza heads to Linzur, ordering the Yard Rat to teleport the ship to the farthest location he knows, no matter where. The Yard Rat was about to obey. The escape would be successful in an instant, but suddenly something shakes the ship, causing everyone to lose their balance for a brief moment. Frieza asks what's happening. At the top of the ship, he sees that the pursuer has finally reached them. This news is given by Berry Blue, who warns the Emperor that he is there. Frieza is very frustrated and angry. Now that he's touching the ship, even if the teleport were done, he would be carried along with them. There's no other way to handle this situation. The ship's speed seems to stabilize again, and Pikkon notices something. The roof of the ship opens, and in the next moment, Frieza is floating out as he faces his pursuer. The Emperor says that if he insists so much, he will finally see the full power of the Great Frieza. In the sky of the planet Squin, an intense exchange of blows takes place. The combatants exchange blows so fast, they can barely be seen. Vegeta, transformed into a Super Saiyan God, fights Cooler while still in base form. The Prince of the Saiyans dodges a punch from Cooler, who seems to have a little difficulty in this exchange of blows. Vegeta pressures Cooler with a few punches and then prepares a strong punch, hitting the opponent in the face and pushing him away. Cooler spins in the air to land safely on the ground as Vegeta descends from the sky towards him to continue attacking. But Cooler surprises the Saiyan by hitting him with his tail, knocking him away. And after launching Vegeta towards the sky again, Cooler jumps towards him, grabs the prince's ankle, and launches Vegeta towards the ground, causing the Saiyan to slam hard against the ground. After doing so, Cooler completes his string of attacks by focusing energy into the eyes, and then launches energy lasers against the enemy. When Cooler's lasers hits the ground, it crosses the entire planet, creating a large fissure in the center of the planet that even from space can be seen very well. Fortunately, Vegeta dodged that attack and is standing beside the large fissure in the ground opened up by Cooler's lasers, looking at the danger he's just passed. Looking at the enemy staring at him from the sky, Vegeta says, "Bastard, I'll kill you!" Vegeta launches himself towards Cooler at high speed, who yells at the oncoming enemy, "You want to attack me head-on, you worm? So come." But in thought, Cooler reflects on a strategy. Cooler thinks, instead of colliding my body with his, I'll quickly dodge at the last moment and hit a deadly point. That stupid Wild Saiyan won't be able to predict this and will be defeated. Cooler charges towards Vegeta, but then before they collide their bodies, Vegeta transforms into Super Saiyan Blue and somersaults in the air above Cooler, surprising him. In doing so, Vegeta grabs the opponent's tail with one hand and begins to spin him in the air. As it is rotated, Cooler shows his surprise. He transformed to get faster and dodged! Apparently, Cooler didn't think a savage could be smart either. After gaining a lot of strength by spinning the enemy, Vegeta throws him to the ground, causing Cooler to crash hard against the ground. And after the dust is dissipated, we can see that the fall has done great damage to the ground. And apparently the fall causes damage to Cooler as well, who is a little stunned after the last hit. Taking advantage of this bad moment of the enemy, Vegeta makes an attack stance, and while concentrating energy, he says, "See you in hell, Cooler! Gallic Gun!" Vegeta launches a powerful attack. Seeing this, Cooler is worried. An extremely powerful and dangerous attack is coming. Outside the planet can be seen the large amount of energy that was used in the technique. Vegeta's attack created a large crater in the planet's ground. The Saiyan floats above the spot trying to see what the result of his attack was. Seeing what happened, the Prince of the Saiyans smiles as he says, "It's like I thought. It couldn't be that simple." Cooler is alive, and not only that, he's transformed and surrounded by a protective globe of energy that was surely what saved his life. Cooler yells, "Damn you, that was dangerous. If I hadn't increased my powers with this transformation at the last second, I would have been ripped to shreds." After hearing his opponent's complaints, Vegeta responds with a sarcastic but obvious line, "Oh, but that was the intention." Annoyed by the opponent's sarcasm, Cooler charges towards him completely furious. "I will destroy you!" On Universe 6's Supreme Planet, things were a little quieter, with Goku and Lei still waiting for the end of Kiboru's search for information about the primordial beast in the Book of the Universe. And paying attention to the amount of books around Supreme Kai's assistant, we see that the book he is currently reading is at least the 7th volume. But then Kiboru seems to finally find something relevant, stopping his reading at one of the pages of the book that contains an image very similar to the primordial beast cocoon. Goku, very frustrated and also in a great hurry, asks to the assistant to go faster. But in the next moment, Kiboru delivers the good news to the God of Destruction. He's found the location of the primordial beast that is in their universe. Hearing this, Goku clashes his fists in a sign of excitement, displaying an expression of joy and anxiety, certainly extremely excited about the future fights to come. The situation in Zeno's realm is very worrying, and many fights take place in the multiverse. What happened to Lekir after the mighty attack from Tyra? What is the mystery behind the appearance of Tehran, the master of Beerus, who Pikan announced as dead to Beerus himself earlier? What will be the result of the confrontation between Frieza and Pikan for possession of Janemba's cocoon? Who will be the victor in the intense battle between Vegeta and Cooler? And what will Goku find on his journey in search of the primordial beast of Universe 6? Find out in the next chapters of Dragon Ball Hakai. Well guys, that was chapter 9 of Dragon Ball Hakai, a chapter full of content, right? But now it's time to move on to the next part of the video. As I promised you at the beginning of this video, I'm going to answer some questions and doubts that many of you have about Dragon Ball Hakai. As I said, this is a very complex story and it brings a lot of new concepts, and some things can be a little hard to understand. The first question I'm going to answer was made in the comments of the video where I tell you chapter 4 and 5 of Dragon Ball Hakai Special, The Story of Beerus. In that video, in addition to telling you those chapters in detail, I also answered some questions, and among those questions was the question about which gods of destruction can be more powerful than Goku. That question was asked after chapter 7 of Dragon Ball Hakai, where Vados stated that Goku is probably at least the 5th most powerful god of destruction at this point. And with this speech from Vados, we were asked a lot about who are these gods that can be more powerful than Goku. While answering this question, I theorized that the gods that might be stronger than Goku are Beerus, Quetela, Belmont, and maybe Lekir or Rumshi. But some people have tried to refute this in the comments, saying that this can't be true because it said in Dragon Ball Hakai that Goku surpassed Jiren. And if Jiren was already more powerful than Belmont at the time of the Tournament of Power, it's impossible that Belmont could be more powerful than Goku, God of Destruction. I understand that argument, and it's obviously right. Well, no, it's not. Guys, there's something you need to understand. It's something that's been said in Dragon Ball Hakai manga for a few chapters, and it's also said by us in the videos. In Dragon Ball Hakai, the power level of the Gods of Destruction is not the same from Dragon Ball Super, and I even explained it in that video too, but I'll explain it again now. In Dragon Ball Hakai, a new concept called Energy of Destruction was added. What is this Energy of Destruction? It is a spiritual being that is the essence of the energy that the Hakaishins use. One note, don't confuse the Energy of Destruction with the Hakai. The Hakai is just a technique that uses this type of energy just like the Kamehameha uses ordinary ki. But moving on, when a mortal becomes a god of destruction, that god is then given the energy of destruction, which in Dragon Ball Hakai is also the divine essence of a Hakaishin. And when that essence is placed in someone, that energy takes on a spiritual form. In this way, a completely new being is born, and that being has its own individual power, which is different from the power of the host. Let's use Naruto as an example, which is a very famous franchise that uses a similar concept. In Naruto's body, there was a creature called the Nine-Tailed Fox, or Kyuubi in Japanese. This creature was a being that lived inside Naruto, but despite being in the protagonist's body, the fox was an individual being with its own thoughts, personality, and powers. Naruto possessed his own individual power, and so did the fox. Of course, he did use the fox's power a lot during the anime and manga, but he had a power level of his own, and he could choose to fight using only his power or the fox's power, and he could also use a lot or a little from Kyuubi's power. Coming back to Dragon Ball Hakai, it's something similar. The gods of destruction have an individual power level, but they also have another being within them that, if they want, can offer more power. Even in this chapter 9, we had a clue about that, when Likir saw that Tyra was too powerful and thought about the idea of using all his power as god of destruction. Probably in that moment, he saw that if he couldn't defeat Tyra with his own powers alone, he needed to ask power for the being that lived inside him. But unfortunately, Tyra attacked him before that. So for you to understand, Belmont might be weaker than Jiren if he only uses his own power, but if he uses the power of the energy of destruction inside him, maybe, just maybe, he is way more powerful than Jiren. And just to clarify, as was said in the previous video, this list about the gods that are supposedly more powerful than Goku is pure theory. Neither in Dragon Ball Hakai nor in Dragon Ball Super any official power rank of the gods of destruction was revealed. So maybe Belmont is superior to Goku when he uses his energy of destruction, or maybe not. And the same thing goes for Jiren, as it also is not said in Dragon Ball Hakai that Belmont overpowers Jiren if he uses that extra source of power. And finally, one last clarification that was also made in the last video, but it's good to reinforce here. I know that in the exhibition battle between the gods in the manga, it was ordered that all of them should use all their power, and that they shouldn't hold back or they would be killed. So because of that, many can say that this thing about the destroyers having hidden power is an inconsistency of Dragon Ball Hakai. But again, the energy of destruction is an individual being with thoughts, personality, and power of its own. So when the gods fought each other in the manga, they were indeed using their full power, just as Daishinkan ordered. But it was their power, the power that was theirs alone, not the being that lives within them. It's like Naruto in Boruto, who currently fights with his own power without the nine-tailed fox. So using that comparison, that fight between the 12 gods of destruction is like all the 9 Jinchuriki that we saw in Naruto fought in an arena, but only with their power without using the power of their bijus. Understand? Well, I hope I've answered the question in the best possible way, and that your doubts have been clarified. The next question was asked in the comments of a community post here on the channel, but I've also been asked the same question many times. The question is, what caused Kale and her father to break up, and if the Saiyans of planet Sadala will appear again in the story? For those who don't remember, in Chapter 5 and 6 of Dragon Ball Hakai, planet Sadala was introduced to us, the planet of the Saiyans of Universe 6. During his short journey on this planet, Goku met the king of the Saiyans, a man named Krista, and Goku also discovered that this king is the father of Kale, the Saiyan girl friend of Caulifla's we met during the Tournament of Power. Another thing that we discovered at this point in the story is that planet Sadala is going through a civil war, and the leader of the rebellion against the king is Caulifla, who has Kale as her right-hand soldier. So that's a very good question. What made Kale revolt against her father in such a way? Why does she want to be on the side of the rebellion against him? Why does she fight against her father's army, ideals, and even his throne? Well, unfortunately, we don't have the answer to that yet. Probably Kale has deep disagreements with her father's ideals or the way of ruling the planet, which is why she decided to support Caulifla in this rebellion. Another option could be that Krista isn't a good father, and he might not be as nice a guy as he appeared to be during Goku's visit. Maybe he made Kale suffer for some reason, and she hates him deeply for it. Another possibility is that Kale was actually manipulated against her father, and because of misinformation, she rebelled against him. Well, there's no way of knowing for sure yet, because despite this relationship has been mentioned, it hasn't been detailed yet. But answering the second question, of course the Saiyans from planet Sadala will appear again in the story. During Goku's visit to the planet, many mysteries were created around the people and planet. As we saw in the fight between Krista and Goku, Krista has some sort of unusual power that hasn't been explained. We also find that Caulifla's rebellion is being fueled by someone else, and we need to know who that person is and the intent behind it. And of course, we also have to know the outcome of this civil war, or it wouldn't make sense to have put that into the story, right? We saw that just as Krista has great hidden power, Kale and Caulifla learned the Metamora fusion called Kale, and this fusion can reach Super Saiyan 3, and one of their goals is to beat the king. So we have to see how that ends. Anyway, there's certainly a lot that needs to happen to Sadala, and we are here to see a lot more of Saiyan people from Universe 6 in Dragon Ball Hakai. Well guys, these were the questions I chose to be answered in this video. Of course, there will be many more questions asked by you, but if I answer them all, this video will never end, right? But we still have a lot of Dragon Ball Hakai videos to make, so eventually all your questions will be answered. This video ends here. I hope you enjoyed all this content that we made with such dedication for you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget your like and subscribe to the channel as we become 150,000 subscribers. Until the next time, goodbye.